Hello, everybody.
Hello,
I'm Theo Black,
and I'm Sarah Black.
and we are a little bit late. I'm not actually sure this video or this podcast will get out in January, but it's hopefully. But we're finishing off our sci-fi monster bad movies series
And
thing.
it's also a little late in the day. We normally record in the morning. On the weekend, it's the evening. So we'll see. This may teach us why we don't do this. But
Yeah,
yeah, so we're wrapping up what has been the
I feel like
I,
I forgot to tell Jill that we were recording. We're recording. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. Cat's around here somewhere, around
I don't
you.
have anyone to tell.
Yes. Well, your boy is being a lighthouse keeper somewhere for his
Yes.
company. No, I feel like we started off this series with kind of a bang with Robot Monster. I mean, I didn't like it quite as much as you did, but it still really got you. And then both of the movies we're about to talk about are fine, but like Life Force it almost would have been better if we'd finished on Life Force or something. But
Probably.
we
Life
were
Force would
doing
have
this
been a
by
good.
decades, so
I do want to say that I'm enjoying kind of focusing on something for a month because it is giving me, as much as I like and watch bad movies, I don't think I've watched as many and had to think about them this way. Normally they're a little like popcorn. You watch one, I've been talking, for some reason, I've been likening a lot of life experiences to the Harry Potter jelly beans lately, where it's like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's earwax. Like,
sure.
and that's how these movies have been. Sometimes it's good, but I don't know that I necessarily analyze them, and I think I've kind of gotten a handle on what makes a truly enjoyable bad movie. Now, mind you, I can watch non-enjoyable bad movies and kind of get a kick out of just human hubris and various things. But if we're going to talk something that I think is like, if you like good bad movies, maybe you want to try it. I think I've kind of settled on what might make it happen. And it's not really anything that you could find in the two movies we watched last week. So here we
Here we
go.
go. Our first one was one from my childhood where like I was already a movie snob, even though I wasn't really I didn't see a lot of movies growing up. It wasn't until my like mid-20s that I really started getting into movies. But um this Alien versus Predator from 2004 came out and I was like, no way, I didn't even see the Predator movies or the Alien movies. Those are so dumb. Of course, I've never seen the Predator movie, but
Yeah.
the first two Alien movies are good. But this came out, there was a lot of noise. It's apparently occupies some sort of weird space in the alien and predator mythos because a decent number of people think it's trash and a decent number of people enjoy it in the mythos. I'm going to sort of shrug at it. Oh, spoilers, by the way. Spoilers for this
Spoilers.
and any other movie we might
You
watch.
won't believe what happens in Alien versus Predator. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So who's gonna give the synopsis on this one?
Oh, I'll do it. Uh, some So the Wayland group, who is from the Alien franchise, discovers an ancient pyramid in, I think it's Antarctica somewhere, um, and sends a group of people to search and to find what is this thing here. And as they do, things get a little weird. They discover a hole that's been perfectly bored into the ice. The movie is called Alien versus Predator, so guess what happens when they show up at the temple?
Yep.
And that is the synopsis of the movie.
Okay, so this movie is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who, to me, is most famous for directing the Resident Evil films. And he doesn't have a writing credit on this, and it's not fair to kind of. Oh no, he does. He has screenplay and story by credit on this, and it feels strongly like the Resident Evil stuff, which I believe he's also involved in that it's all very, very derivative. And Alien versus Predator has scenes that look like The Thing and scenes that feel like Stargate and of course it is inherently derivative, being part of both the Alien and the Predator franchise. Um, yeah. So
Okay, here's my first like this is one of the only things I really have to say about this movie. It's ultimately fine. It's not so bad as to be amusing, but not particularly good either. It kind of sits in the middle where it's like it's kind of an enjoyable watch if you like this sort of
Yeah.
thing, but it's nothing terrifically noteworthy other than its space within a larger franchise or two franchises. I don't know how that one works, but at one point during watching this, I texted you and I'm like, do any of these characters have names?
And
Here
I
is
named a few of them.
You did good job, which is good. But basically, it was like woman with dad issues, geeky man with children,
Yeah.
a
Well, then
foreign
that's like
foreign man
Resident
who.
Evil, where it's like every movie has a new band of sidekicks who disappear by the next movie, and you don't know what their names are or anything like that.
No, and like this movie is hardly terrible, and it's not the kind of thing where there's like one or two characters in Life Force who get almost zero characterization, but it works better in Life Force because there's more action going on and there's more plot going on. Like that movie's kind of more fun for the plot maybe than the story.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, you're kind of supposed to care when these people start getting murdered brutally and just dying, and you're like, everybody's going to die except probably like our main woman. And it's nice that the black woman lives. I mean, if we're going to look at societal things at large, Sana Lathan. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. I didn't look it up, but she's I mean, like, she's fine in it. The other people are fine in it. Um, it's not terribly directed. It's kind of just a movie, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're 100% correct. It made me think immediately of like a sci-fi original film, and um I think that there are people that just like those movies and don't particularly they like the journey, even if it's the same journey they've been on 30 times. And for those people, I think this film works really well. I have some things I like about it, but this kind of I think segues into what I've noticed about these bad movies and good movies is you kind of can't lose with me if you're creative. You can be as creative as they are in Robot Monster and it doesn't make any sense, but I had a heck of a good time. Or you can be, as creative as they are in a Buñuel film and it's saying something about society and I have a good time. It's
Right.
when you're just kind of trotting the same path, kind of doing the thing, kind of doing Stargate, Alien, just here's A to B to that
Yeah.
that it I am not a fan of just standard tropes, so I don't really enjoy going through them that way. So then there's not much for me here.
This is sort of, this isn't the same, but it's adjacent to how you like movies that are unique.
Yeah.
Not all unique movies are necessarily that creative. I mean, judging
Yeah.
if something's creative or not is kind of difficult, but
Right.
it's definitely adjacent to that. And I basically agree. Like, this movie, like, the core idea that on Earth there is a place that aliens visit every 100 years to battle to the death as a rite of passage is kind of amusing. It's not terribly original. I feel like we've seen things similar to that. It is sort of based in some you know more older history stuff, but it's unique enough where it's like, I haven't seen, I don't know that I've seen that exact thing done on screen. And it's also technically two franchises that have met up and had a baby, and that's also kind of unique. So those are like, and those are the two things that are kind of the most interesting in this for me.
Yeah.
And it after that, it, like you say, it's A to B to C, and some of the sets are cool. It's all too brown and dark, but some of the
Yeah.
sets are cool, and the fact that everything shifts and moves, like, I've seen that in a few movies, but I am somebody who just sort of watches sci-fi movies and sci-fi shows and enjoys them kind of no matter.
This isn't really your kind of sci-fi though. But
No.
yeah, I mean the ones we've enjoyed the most I would say would be like Robot Monster, The Incredible Melting Man, and Life Force all kind of had the most creative all over the place stuff happening.
Yeah.
Whereas the Giant Claw, Monster Go-Go is hardly worth mentioning. There's and then there's this which just kind of competently goes up the mountain and down again on the trail that's already there without taking any digressions.
Yeah.
It is nice to see diversity, as we come, we started with some fairly white
Yeah.
movies. And it's nice to see some diversity. Another thing, this made me oddly nostalgic for, it felt like a 90s movie to me, and I don't know if that's just because I don't have a sense of the aughts and what the movies were like, but the beginning of the movie is the gathering together of a band of specialists. And it made me realize how much I miss that kind of thing. It's like we've got an engineer, we've got an archaeologist, we've got, and instead of we've got Thor, we've got Captain America, we've got Scarlet Witch. It's like, it was nice to see like a group of people who had all studied very hard to be in their field. And that was like, you think about a lot of like Stargate or Roland Emmerich. I'm doing 2 Roland Emmerich films, but it's kind of on topic. But the Godzilla, they like bring the guy that's the expert in the thing there.
Yeah.
And I kind of made me nostalgic for those kind of movies, even Mission Impossible movies. Maybe that's why I
I
still
was going to
like them a
mention
little
Mission
bit.
Impossible. Yeah. Well, and I'm kind of nostalgic for the same thing, especially because they just don't do team up movies nowadays that much unless it's a superhero movie. And we've seen that now multiple times in the same franchise, let alone across multiple franchises and even TV and all that. So it's kind of like I would like some, like, you get it a little bit in thriller movies. Like, you get team up movies, I think, in a thriller movie more than kind of any other genre, because thrillers usually involve like a heist, and you need
Right.
the driver and the person who can crack the
Right.
vault, which is a part of why I'm a little surprised you don't like heist movies or thrillers more, is because a lot of that is getting the
I
team
like
together.
thrillers. I don't like heist movies. Those are 2 different.
Yeah, they're too different. I mean, they're related in just that, but just that
I
gathering
don't
the
like
team
seeing
thing.
a team of experts come together to steal a thing. I want them to like explore or deal with a monster or something like that.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I
And I
also
do
was
like some heist films, so
I do get nostalgic for that. And I guess one thing of this movie that is also, I've what we because me and Joe have been revisiting some movies we missed when we were younger in the 90s and 2000s. Like, the 90s is like still mostly practical effects or like camera effects where it's not all done on a computer somewhere else, so it's probably still computerized, but it's a little different. And then you have like the 2000s where it's like more computerized than um
yeah.
practical. So like the 90s is kind of an amusing place because sometimes you get some good ones, or you get something like The Matrix, which is I think 99 or whatever,
Yes.
2000. Like, that's really good. And then in the 2000s you get like really funky practical effects that are computer effects. So like there's this kind of interesting thing going on in the 90s where I see like a bad special effects and I get happy. But
Well, and to that note, actually, as well, I'm going to highlight another thing I enjoyed about this, even though this movie doesn't get credit for it, but it's nice to see monsters that aren't giant flower vagina teeth things. I am really tired of that, and that seems to
yeah.
be what a lot of the monsters are. And again, I know both these I mean, the alien, the credit goes to, why am I, Giger, H.R. Giger.
Geiger. Giger,
And
Geiger, yeah.
I don't know who did the Predator, but like when he took his mask on, it was kind of an interesting
Yeah.
monster alien face. Like, I thought that was kind of interesting. So
Yeah, I agree. The monsters, like the concept of two monsters fighting like that, even just the designs and stuff and like how they interact with how their bodies and how all that works is neat.
yeah, but again, the plot just goes on goes where you think, well, and also the characters, the movie cared enough to give a little characterization. You mentioned that no one had any names, and that's true. But even, our main character, it's like she has to explain about her past relationship with her dad to Wayland, and it's just not very active. It's
No.
whenever you have characters sitting down and having a conversation about the pivotal moment of their lives that really shaped who they are in an action film, you've that's something that I think you could use in a like a social drama, or an art house film where the actor is really chewing the scenery and like making this moment. But in Alien versus Predator, you almost might as well skip it. Like,
And in an action film, the action should inform who the characters are. They're gonna
right.
fight like they're gonna fight differently based on who they are. They're gonna react
Yeah.
differently. They're gonna, like all that, and this just doesn't have any of that.
Yeah. I mean, I like that even then though, like she had our main character, like I liked, she was a tough woman. She's a woman of color. She lived to the end, but she has this, I mean, I guess so she won't join the expedition because she's not given enough time. But then when it comes up that the person they're going to get instead of her is like incompetent, then she joins because she still feels like she's the best to do it.
Yeah,
Something like that,
that's
I
good.
think that kind of works. Like that makes, she's a tough,
That works.
she cares about people, but it's still, I mean, that's better than her saying like, when I climbed Everest with my dad, like,
Yeah.
you know. But
No,
yeah,
totally.
there's not much else to say. If you like sci-fi original type films, if you just like seeing monsters fight it out, this is something you'd enjoy. But it's not really got a lot for
If you are not
people who
like,
want really creative things.
yeah, I can't recommend this to anyone just as like a bad movie to enjoy. It's kind of just
Yeah.
a movie. It's yeah.
I'd almost put Dead Space on first because it's just like, because it's more stupid.
Yes.
Where it's like in this,
Yeah.
they've got an archaeologist explaining the archaeology stuff, where in Dead Space, some guy shows up and they're like, maybe you can solve our problem. And it's like,
Yes.
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Totally.
doesn't even have that much going for it. So that is Alien versus Predator, and maybe I'll actually watch Predator myself. So I hear it's good. It's got Carl Weathers in it.
I've heard it's good too, and I want to watch it someday.